Hey, this is Brittany, CEO and founder of Talented Teams Consulting, and I specialize in working with HR departments of one to help you grow your credibility and ultimately transform your career. So we are back with day 5. Can you believe it? Day 5 of this 30-day series where I'm talking about ways to build your HR career with intention. I think that being intentional is such a key part in doing anything, especially if you're trying to build your career to be more strategic in your future opportunities. So being intentional right now, where you are right now, is so critical. So today we're talking about one of the more difficult parts about being in an HR department, whether you're working in an HR department by yourself or with other people, and it's dealing with people. But not just dealing with people when it's easy, but dealing with people when it's difficult. Think of it as choosing to be kind, choosing to take the high road, choosing professionalism over all other things. That's the difficult part of being an HR professional. You have to always maintain that level of being poised, that level of being super organized, taking the high road. And we're going to talk about this as we go on with this video, but it's difficult and it's a learned skill. It doesn't come easy, especially if you are used to being able to talk more freely in your personal life, or you're not one to just let any little thing slip, but you know how that goes. But in the workplace, we're held to a different standard, and with good reason, because we're, again, that balancing being between the employer and the employee. So we've got to be as neutral as possible. We've got to have a great poker face. We've got to have a great demeanor about ourselves so that we can be taken seriously and so that we can really contribute in a meaningful way that won't be undermined by anything that anyone thinks that we do or say that's incorrect. While all these things are true, working in an HR department by yourself, I feel there's another added level of stress and anxiety about it, because when you're in that position, you don't have anyone to vent to, you don't have anyone to let your hair down around and release to. When I worked as an HR department of one for 6 years before I grew my team, that was the most challenging part. Not having anyone else that really could go through and I could talk to about what I'm experiencing, and they could really commiserate with me or share ideas, to bounce ideas off of me, or for me to bounce ideas off of them, other than saying, oh gosh, well that sounds hard, or not even being able to say anything because of the nature of what it is I'm dealing with. I believe that's one of the more challenging parts of being in an HR department of one. Again, you don't have anyone to lean on. You don't have anyone to talk through your situations with. And that's one of the reasons why I created this community, Thriving as an HR department of one, because I feel that as an HR department of one, you might be by yourself in your position, but you should never feel like you're alone. And so I created this community for HR professionals just like you to grow your careers with intention, but also to have a community of people surrounding you to build you up and to lift you up when those times get really difficult. So other than just being nice to be nice, there's a few reasons why being able to take the high road and choosing professionalism over all other things is super important. If nothing else, you want to use it to be able to protect your peace. Again, I like to think of it not letting anyone knock you off of your square. Don't let anyone get you out of your comfort zone or make you do anything out of character. You want to make sure that you're always in control of your emotions and control of your facial expressions and in control of your speech to make sure that you are making the best impressions at all times. Again, as an HR department of one, especially if you're new, especially if you're not quite sure about all of the different areas that we talked about in yesterday's video in terms of all of the disciplines that you need to know and how you should be able to talk intelligently about each of them, don't let any of those areas cause you to have a lack of confidence. And don't let anyone make you feel as if you are less than because you don't know everything. The goals of an HR department of one is not to have all the answers. The goal is to know where to find those answers. But that's another video that we're going to talk about in a few more days. In addition to being able to protect your peace by making sure that you are staying in control of yourself, you also want to make sure that you are being able to stay professional at all times. Because remember, we talked about this yesterday as well, you are a servant leader. And so as a servant leader, you are there to do the great things, to do the hard things, even when it's not so easy. I like to think that a good sign of a leader is not when they do the good things when it's easy. A leader steps up and does those things when no one's watching. A leader steps up and does those things when it's the hard thing to do. And a leader makes the tough calls. So even if you are in a position where you have to make a difficult situation and you have to have a crucial conversation, choosing to have a good attitude about it is for the better as well. Because you want to make sure that you have the best outlook, the best perspective, the best mindset when it comes to those things. If nothing else, if you take nothing else from this video, one of the more important reasons to just make sure that you remain professional and choose kindness at all times is because your job depends on it. As an HR department of one, again, you wear the mantle of the HR department. So if you are coming down on an employee with a bad attitude or a bad affect or just a demeanor overall that's not welcoming, then that's the employer acting that way toward the employee. That's the entire HR department acting that way toward that employee. So again, of course, we all have our limits. But you want to make sure that you give as much grace as possible when it comes to building your career, when it comes to dealing with people. Because again, everyone has issues outside of the business. Everyone has issues outside of work. And so do you. But again, you are in the position where you are because you have been trained to handle those situations in the best way. And if you have not been trained, if you would like to work with me a little bit more deeply, one-on-one, we can have that conversation as well. But again, as an HR department of one, it's your responsibility to make sure that you are always in control. If there's no one else in control in the room, it should be HR. So what does it look like? What does it look like when you are choosing to be kind, when you are choosing professionalism every day? What does that look like? One of the easiest things to think of, or one of the first things that you should make sure you keep in mind, is to not hold grudges. Again, we are people, we have feelings, we bleed red blood just the same as everybody else. But again, as an HR department of one, you're literally getting paid to lead the HR department, and you want to make sure that you can do that with integrity and with as much compassion as possible. So again, when there are issues with people being sensitive or issues with people being upset about things, you got to remember, they're not often upset with you. They're upset with the situation. So it's up to you to turn that situation around, to turn it into a positive. Tell them how you can help them. Tell them how you can give them another option. Tell them what their options are and help them to decide what's going to be the best course of action for them, depending on the time that they need to take or the time that they have to make this decision. Again, you never want to hold a grudge against the person because they kind of got a little emotional or they took something that you said out of context. As long as you have your paperwork in place, your documentation in place, and you know the heart that you had when you had that conversation with that person, that's really all that you give an account for. But don't hold grudges because people are people. We all have feelings, but you have to go into those conversations again with intention so that you know that whatever the outcome, you did not do anything maliciously. Another way it looks when you choose to be professional, when you choose to take the high road, when they go low, we go high. There's no better way to say it. When they go low, we go high. So again, it does not matter what your role is, what your level is, how many years you've been in the position or anything. You have to choose to be professional. You have to choose to be kind. And you have to do that every day. You have to go into your day choosing to do that because you're going to have situations where you have a difficult person to deal with. You're going to have situations, have a difficult situation or an off-the-wall situation. You have to know that no matter what this day brings to me, I'm going to choose to be kind. Because that's one thing that no one can ever take away from you. And one thing that no one can ever take away from you, ultimately, is your reputation. So your reputation precedes you. Whatever energy you give off, whatever vibe you give off, whatever people think of you in the organization, you want that to remain as spotless as possible so that you can have a great impact. You don't want anything to get in the way if you're making an impact within the organization. So you've got to stay in control of your emotion at all stages of the game. Choosing kindness is an easy thing to say and much easier than it is for you to do, especially when you're dealing with situations that are sensitive, situations that are crucial, situations that are confidential, situations that are tentative. But you want to make sure that you have built in these systems within yourself, this mantra within yourself, that you're going to choose kindness every day. You're going to choose kindness on purpose. Again, this whole 30-day series is about building your HR career with intention. What are the things that you can do to make sure that you are positioning yourself to be viewed for future opportunities in leadership? What are things that you can do to make sure you are positioning yourself to see yourself as a value add to the organization within the HR department and beyond HR? These are all the things you need to make sure that you keep in mind because it all lends to your credibility. It all lends to the way people experience you. It all lends to your reputation within the organization. So if you choose to have that positive mindset day to day, it's going to rub off on other people and people are going to admire you for it. At Talented Teams Consulting, I work with HR departments of one because I have a heart to serve those HR professionals. I know how difficult it can be to not have anyone else in the organization that you can lean on, that knows what you do day to day, that can help you to create systems and put things in place so that you can work more effectively and grow your career. Again, it's difficult sometimes to know what comes next if you're the only person in that role. But I'm here to remind you and let you know that there is so much on the other side of you breaking through and being able to figure out a way to master your role as an HR department of one. All you have to do is put in the time, the energy, the effort, and invest in yourself to make sure that you are putting the effort into these things. And you have so much potential to grow your career, to impact your organization, and to make a positive impact on the lives of those that you serve. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions for me, click any of the links below. I'd love to connect with you. You download the free HR Department of One guides, 5 things that your HR career demands. It's going to help you again with that path to kind of put things in place to know what you need to have in your HR career to make sure you are going about your day successfully, intentionally, on purpose, and with purpose. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to help you any way I can. And if you'd like to work one-on-one, you can book a discovery call or a strategy session in one of the links below as well. I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.